Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching or listening to us from today. This is week 4. Mama, we made it. Today, we're still going to be continuing on the concept of personal responsibility, and this is the last episode speaking on that, still under the Nigerian project, like I titled it, Time Out with Me Day. And the idea of this is that we keep building ourselves up each week to become better people. Today I'm going to be looking at keeping our words, which is more or less keeping our promises and letting our yes be yes and our no's be no. In fairness, this is one thing that I know that we're all guilty of. I'm guilty, you're guilty. Yes, you can tell yourself that you keep 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, but as long as it's not 10 over 10, I'm sorry, you're as guilty as charged. And we're all in this boat together, and hopefully at the end of this session we're all going to be acquitted. So promises and keeping our word are a very big thing here, because everybody makes commitments on things that they're going to do. You work in an organization, you work in sales, for instance, you're making commitments on sales figures or budgets or targets you're going to meet at the end of the week, which in fairness, the bosses never really want to hear the truth. But the reality is that at a point in time, you have to learn to know that your yes has to be your yes and your no has to be your no. As we interact with people, artisans, and daily commutes of life or moving around, people make promises here and there. Oh, the tailor says, "Oh, I will deliver it to you by Friday," but never shows up. The driver you've told that you're going to be at a meeting or you're going to the airport for 8 a.m. never shows up on time, and he shows up at maybe 15 minutes to 8, and the meeting is for 8 o'clock on the other side of town, or you need to head to the airport or the other side of town, and you're looking at him wondering whether he has some magical wand, or he's probably got the same control like the Jetsons back in the days and has the ability to teleport you from your location to the airport or to that meeting in less than 10 to 15 minutes. And the reality is that he doesn't. And the good old thing we say is that we say we're sorry, we give excuses, and we just sort of all move on, thinking that, I tried. Bringing this home down to the family, you promise your kids you're going to do this or you're going to do that. And for you as a parent, it's like, oh, I'm working so hard, I've had a long day, I'm going through my own issues, and it's really not my fault. You have genuine reasons, in fairness, genuine excuses, no caps, why those things didn't go as planned. But the reality is that for that child, you've broken a promise, and in their formative years, those things are very key to them. And if you don't keep those promises, or you don't keep those commitments, or your words are no longer your bond, that child builds that mindset over time that mommy or daddy or auntie or uncle never keeps their word. The relationship begins to sour, but in your mind you're providing, you're meeting their needs, you're paying the bills and everything seems to be all rosy. But as that child grows up, that child has in their mindset and has built that thing into them that, well, my parents never keep their word, and I can never trust what my parents says. If mommy says she'll be ready in 15 minutes, it means that she's going to be ready in 1 hour. And you start seeing that thing playing up in a subtle way as strife in that family. And that child grows up and just moves on with their life and is doing their own thing. You're like, how come you don't reach out, you don't this, you don't that? It's all those little things, from those formative years that have built into that child, and that's what plays out. Bringing it back home to our society, we blame the politicians for every single thing, and I know we've spoken about this earlier on, so I'm not going to belabor that topic. But the reality is that for a government or for a system to work, every part of that system needs to play its part. It's like a puzzle or like a chessboard. If you don't have all the parts on the table and you don't have all the moving parts, everybody moving, to guard the king or to guard the queen, you're not going to win that game. In a puzzle, if all the pieces don't fit into the right place, meaning that everybody doesn't do their parts at the right time, it simply means that puzzle is never going to be complete. And that's the reality of what plays out. The president is one person. The governor is one person. The Speaker of the House is one person. The Senate President is one person. Your MD is one person. But every system is built on people. And it's a case of people keeping to their words of doing what they say they will do. Every organization has a rule book, has a motto, has a vision, mission, and everything. And the idea is that everybody is meant to follow that thing to the latter. When you say you're going to meet that deadline, you should meet that deadline when you say you will meet it. And if you have reasons why you're not, then you shouldn't have made that commitment. Now, there's always a contradiction here because we live in a society whereby people demand you to always say yes, 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 and we've all become yes men. But I give kudos to the new generation for this thing, the ability to say no. Because you have to really convince them to get things done if you really want those things done sometimes. But it's a function of people have to come to terms with, you can't do everything at the same time. But it doesn't mean you should also be lazy. But you should be able to say you will do something, and you do it. Because if we all don't play our part in this puzzle, what simply happens is that the puzzle will never be complete. We all desire to great nations and live in great nations, but all those nations were not built by empty promises. They were built by the commitment of leaders, commitment of the followers to follow through on their part. Some of you don't pay taxes, and you may say, oh, the government embezzles those funds and does all manner of things with those funds. But imagine if everybody paid all the taxes they were meant to pay. We really need to be borrowing the sort of funds we're borrowing for all the projects that need to be done in Nigeria. Think about that for a second. It may sound funny, you may have your own opinion about it, but the reality is that if everybody does their part and everybody's word is their bond, society will be a better place. Our communities will be better for everyone to live in. So this week, as you go on, I'd like you to reflect on this and look at some promises you've broken in the past. Look at how you can make amends to them. Let your yes be yes. Let your no be no. And make one promise to yourself on something you would do. Like for me, I said I'm going to do a recording and post a video for this week. It's hard, to be honest, but I'm doing this, and that's one promise I've made which I'm keeping. And as you go on, you could make it 2, you could make it 3, you could make it 4 as the weeks progress. But the idea is that you keep building on it till it becomes part of you and it becomes part of your discipline. So this is the end of our concept of personal responsibility. Hope we've been able to provoke some thoughts over the last 4 weeks. Share your comments, share with friends, share with your communities, and let's change the narrative. Thank you for listening and have a beautiful week ahead.